Things that we strive to avoid is anger. Now, there is justifiable anger when situations happen, but as Thich Nhat Hanh says, or said in his book, Anger, it's best to sit down with it instead of avoiding your feelings, because unaddressed anger usually leaks out and hurts other people and yourself. And if you walk around angry constantly, then you don't really have a peaceful, happy life. I love what Thich Nhat Hanh said about sitting with your anger and offering it tea. Now, everyone gets angry. That's completely normal. It shows you that something's off, but it's how you handle it. So the handling of it is to, like he said, sit with your anger and offer it tea or coffee and ask it in your creative mind what's going on and listen. And when you are heard, your anger is heard, then it doesn't have as much power or sway. It's important to excuse yourself, because no one needs to be a recipient of the anger you feel. Even if someone did something horrific or even slightly bad, you can still walk away and process, like an adult, a mature adult, your feelings of anger. I've noticed also that when people walk around and use a lot of swear words, that usually is a sign that there's some root of anger inside that they're not dealing with. So for me, if I drop an F-bomb or something comes out of my mouth, and like, oh, I must be angry about something. And then I remove myself and look at it, and then I can deal with it before it grows. You don't want things to grow. So anything that you avoid and is unaddressed in life is going to grow and take a deeper root. So that's anger. That's the first of the 5 things that we're working on addressing and minimizing in our existence, so as to be the highest spiritual being, well, and there's always a higher level that we can be in each now moment. So anger is one thing, again, that needs to be looked at. It's a very powerful one because it's very destructive. And when I say powerful, I don't mean in a good way. It's an incredibly destructive character trait or choice or way that can really ruin relationships, and it really ultimately hurts the person who's angry. It does. Okay, the second thing is lust. So obviously sexual tension and excitement is real, and there's nothing wrong with that in a relationship, right? But a loving relationship, if a relationship is based upon, oh, I'm just really attracted to that person, and that's more of a lustful thing, that's usually not a relationship with a good foundation that's not going to last. Okay, every relationship needs to be started with a friendship, in my opinion, and grown in like a positive way with lots of love. And the sexual energy and that comes later. But if you just lust after someone and you start a relationship or that too soon, it just not, it's nothing. It's just Maya, illusion. It's sexual energy, and okay, if that's all you want, then that's your choice, but it's not a trait you want to carry with you, because it keeps you in an addiction cycle. So many people go from one relationship to the next because they feel sexually attracted to someone, and then what happens is they kind of get there, they have that experience, and then all of a sudden it becomes an old toy to them, kind of thing. So they're looking for the next new excitement. So then they're basically being a slave to themselves, really, looking for the next new toy. And that's kind of immature too, and it's never going to satisfy that person. And along the way, they destroy and hurt other people. So that's another thing that we don't want to focus on if we want to be the best version of ourselves, is lust. So we've got anger and lust. And then the next one is greed. So what is greed? Well, that's pretty obvious. When you don't share with people, or you are stingy, that's another sign of it. To be greedy is to always want more, more, more for yourself. So if you're not greedy, then the opposite of that would look like being generous and giving things to others. You know, you can donate your belongings. You can give a person a smile. You can ask, how's your day going, to the person at your local store that you walk into who's working there. You can be generous. So what does generosity look like? It's truly the opposite of greed. So when you're being greedy, you're just thinking about yourself. You're not taking into account the other person's feelings or needs, desires, wants, how your actions could hurt someone else that is a loving person. So those are greedy people, and they're never satisfied either, because it's insatiable. It's never ending. It's a bottomless pit. When you're greedy and just wanting to take from people, you're never satisfied. And then the people around you start to realize that you're not, like, what's the word? Reciprocal. And they, if they love themselves, won't put up with that. So then greedy people typically end up, I believe, alone in the end, because they're just not capable of giving back to anyone. So it's kind of sad, like the Scrooge character, very greedy in that play. The next thing, so we've got, let's recap. Repetition is the highest like form of like remembering or learning. So we have anger, lust, greed we've covered. So the next one we can talk about is vanity. So vain people are just truly barking up the wrong tree, because our bodies age, and the only thing that we can really beautify that lasts eternally is our soul, and that is eternal. So when we're trying to beautify our bodies and our faces and keep up, like, it's great to keep up. Like, don't get me wrong. Yes, I go to the club 5 times a week usually. I work out. I put makeup on my face. The point is that when we take it to a whole new level of like self obsession, or we're constantly looking in the mirror, or we don't want to look in a mirror because we don't want to see what we look like. We're not self-accepting of our aging bodies. That's a lot of narcissists don't even like to look in the mirrors, because they would see that they've aged and they can't handle it because they're so insecure deep down. It's very sad. So vanity is an ugly thing that is to be lessened as well. Self-acceptance, I believe, is the key. So when you love yourself, you look at your flaws, or whatever flaws you think you have by society standards, and you accept yourself and you say, you know what, I am as I am, I'm perfect as I am. And truly the only thing that we bring with us is the deeds that we've done, and they all do get accounted for. There's karma is really real, guys. So like, if you've done anything that you know is wrong, it is really smart and wise to try to rectify it while you're still in your body, this body that you're using right now, because otherwise you're just truly going to have to account for it. And everything that comes around goes around. There's no escaping that. So let's start again. We started with anger, lust, greed, vanity, and now we're on to the final 5, the 5th one, which is really hard for most people, and it's attachment. So we want to get rid of attachment. Now, some people are like, well, of course I'm attached to this and that, blah, 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 blah. But there's healthy attachment, and then there's detachment, which is, the one thing we actually would prefer to cultivate, is to be detached from other people's actions, from material items, from relationships. That doesn't mean you can't be in a relationship and have a very loving relationship, but being detached from outcome, just being present in each now moment in the most loving possible way you're able to bring to that relationship. But to be hyper attached will only cause problems, because people change and grow, and they outgrow one another too. and they need to move on. And so if you're attached, then you're going to probably be very disappointed. Now, some relationships last forever, but you can't be attached to the old way your partner was. If your partner starts to age and looks a little different, or they become very familiar to you and not as exciting, well, you have to be unattached to wanting it to be exciting again. And then maybe it will be, you see. And as far as material items, being unattached to them is important. I'll tell you this story. I had a shirt from college that had the dorm that I was in, and it had all the lists of names on the back. And it was it's my college shirt that our floor made in that dorm. And I had a friend who lived there. His name was Steve, and he was listed on the back of the shirt. Now, I remember hearing Wayne Dyer saying that it's very wonderful and important to give away what you're very attached to. So he encouraged his son to do that, and one day his son gave him his favorite shirt. So in like mind, I decided that I would give Steve's parents the shirt from the college days because his name was on it. Though I kind of wanted it. Like, it was kind of a little bit harder for me to give away, but I did. And his mom seemed to be very pleased, and she said she would cut out his name in the front of it and weave it into, or mend it into, like a quilt that she was making. And so for me, that felt really good. So I became unattached to that. And it was really a good choice for me to let it go. And since then, I've been going through so many things in my house and giving them away, recycling them, etc. And it just feels really good to be unattached. Even to be unattached to outcome, like if you have plans, it's like if it comes through, it comes through. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Even with vacations, like you just have to have the mentality that everything that is happening for you, not to you. So if something goes wrong, relationship sours, then that's because it's either supposed to be worked on, you're supposed to go deeper, or you're supposed to leave. And that's okay too. So you're not attached to the outcome because you'll be just fine in yourself, with yourself. You're the only person that you're going to be with the rest of your life. No one else. So you're the only person that you're going to sit with every day. So you can have a blissful life if you have a blissful inside, and you can be happy and joyous, and you can create a life that is meaningful in each now moment without the attachments to other people or other things, items, etc., or outcome. And it feels great, really, to just be so, I will use the word content, like I've said in other videos, content. So contentment is something to cultivate. You don't have to be excitedly, animatedly, superifically happy, but just to be content is truly where it's at. I mean, that's what I strive for personally, is contentment. And I'm not bragging, but honestly, I'm a very, very content person. And I think it's because I have addressed a lot of things that are inside. People can go to therapy, they can do all sorts of things, they can analyze their dreams, they can chant the word Hugh every day. There's so many ways that you can improve your life and reduce these 5 buggers of anger and lust and greed and vanity and attachment. How can you do that? You could look at each one. You could take time with each one and say, what am I angry about? What is bothering me? Am I angry at someone else, or truly am I angry at myself? Oh my God, that's deep. So often people think that they're angry at someone else, but in truth, they're truly angry at themselves. They're disappointed in their past choices. They're disappointed in the way they behave. They're disappointed in their inability to control themselves. There's so many reasons people are actually angry at themselves. Or they're angry for letting people walk all over them and treat them poorly and give someone 25 chances. So, there's the looking in that will clarify what your personal issue is. I stopped being angry at myself when I started putting boundaries up. And when I realized that not everyone is as well-intentioned as I am, actually. There are people who will lie to your face like it's normal. I mean, it's scary. That's called sociopathy. And they exist. And they can trick you. I actually watched a video of 10 people, and one of them was a sociopath. And I thought I could figure it out. I guessed everyone except the flippin' sociopath. So I'm working on discernment. It's another thing to cultivate is discernment. Can you trust the person? Like I used to think everyone was good and trustworthy, and that's true. Deep down, everyone is soul. But that doesn't mean that they're at the level that you are, right? There are people who are battling demons inside who have sociopathic, narcissistic tendencies that they cannot control because they won't look at them and they're terrified like children. They're like children in adult bodies walking around. It's very sad. And those are the people, if someone like that is listening to this podcast or whatever you want to call it, therapy, go to therapy. The ones who don't go to therapy are usually the narcissists. And they are usually the sociopaths who don't want to go because they don't want to look inside because they think it's impossible or it's too much to unload. But I tell you truly, nothing is too much to unload. If you get a good therapist and you go diligently, week by week, every week for the rest of your life, you will get better in time. It's not possible not to improve if you want that. That's so important. So discernment is another thing to cultivate, right? See, and detachment is the opposite of attachment. We want to cultivate detachment, to not be addicted to outcome, to be cool with it. You know, if someone has plans with you and at the last minute they're like, oh, something happened. Okay, of course you understand. Life happens. But not to be devastated about it if it was a big plan, like someone can't go on vacation with you. You know, that actually happened to me. I was on vacation with someone and they left because it was a long story, but I understood them leaving. I was disappointed, which is a normal reaction. And I made the most of my vacation on my own the rest of the vacation. You can still have a wonderful time with whatever comes your way. This is your choice. This is your choice. And quite frankly, once you get to love yourself, truly love yourself, which is an incredible, wonderful feeling, then you will love being with yourself. I mean, I truly love spending time alone. I feel very happy when I'm alone. I have a million things that I could do that would enhance my life. Like, what do you like to do when you're on your own? What's your list of pleasure? Like, can you enjoy you time? So, to recap, anger, lust, greed, vanity, attachment, those are the things that we want to get rid of. I have another video about the 5 virtues that you want to cultivate, and I will link it on the end screen here, and I will even link it throughout the beginning on an info card you can see, and you can click on it on the top of the screen. And I really hope you guys are happy and well, or I should say, content. I love you, and I wish you everything good. Have a wonderful day.